So you've done your research, you've watched all of my YouTube videos, and you have decided that you are ready to purchase a home in North Carolina. What's next? We're gonna cover all of that in this video right here. So get comfy, strap in, and let's dive into it. My name is Brittany Reinschmidt. I'm a local realtor here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. My team and I cover both North and South Carolina because here in Charlotte, we are so close to the border that you have to do both. You'd be silly not to. But we're gonna talk about what does the home buying process look like in North Carolina specifically. I'll cover a few things regarding South Carolina as well. The processes are pretty similar, but we're gonna focus on North Carolina. So whether you are thinking about Charlotte or even potentially Raleigh or some other surrounding area, let us know, give us a call, and if my team and I cannot help you specifically in that location, we'll make sure that we get you connected with the right person. But first, if this happens to be your first time on our YouTube channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified when we post new videos every week. My team and I get calls, emails, and text messages every day from people just like yourselves looking to make a move to the North Carolina area. So if that's you, whether it's in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, send us a text message, or even better, hop on a Zoom call so we can meet you face to face and help make your move just a little bit easier. But let's get into it. So first and foremost, the timeline. What to expect for the timeline. When should you start looking? When should you reach out to an agent? Great questions. Well, on average, we find out that the average person starts actually looking at properties in their desired area about 6 to 9 months out in advance. That sounds crazy, right? It sounds like a long time. And it's okay. Reach out to your agent. Reach out to your trusted resource in the area that you want to be in, whether it is 6 to 9 months. As we've seen in the past year, the real estate market can change drastically, really quickly in such a short period of time. So if you're thinking about making a move, have a connected source in that area to be sure to be able to stay on top of the market and have a pulse on it. So if a change does happen that's going to affect you, you're gonna know and you're gonna have the information to make that decision. So first and foremost, again, we're gonna skip right past that. You've done your research on where you wanna move. You've already made this decision, you want to make a move. Next step is get in contact with an agent. Go on Google, hop on YouTube, reach out to me. If it's not Charlotte, I've got a resource of 100 agents that in any location that we can connect you with. But get in touch with an agent very, very quickly so you can have all of these questions answered and even more if you have more specific questions. So first and foremost is reach out to an agent. Talk to them, build that relationship, make that connection. When you're purchasing a home, it's kind of like you're dating. It is a long relationship. I say long, it's really not. It's a couple months relationship, or if you start looking 9 months out, like most people do, it could be a long relationship. So you want to be sure that not only do you trust the person that you're working with, but that you like them. You're gonna be talking to these people weekly, daily. You're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have a lot of questions, you're gonna have a lot of concerns that might be personal to you and your family's needs. So be sure that you really like that person, that you enjoy that experience. Home buying can be stressful. Moving is stressful, especially if you're picking up and you're doing it and you're moving across country, even across state. Don't make the person that you're working with be one of your extra stressors. It doesn't have to be. There's tons of us. So get connected with the real estate agent, hop on a phone call, hop on a Zoom call and talk to them and make sure you like them. I promise it goes a long way. So you found your agent. Well, now what? Your agent is going to suggest and tell you that you need to be pre-approved. Yes, even if you're looking 6 months out. Unless if you happen to be a CPA or a lender yourself or happen to work in that industry and are knowledgeable about the different products and programs that are out there, or what your credit looks like and your debt to income looks like, or your income looks like comparative to the house pricing here, it's okay to go ahead and get your pre-approval, get your credit pulled, get connected with that lender. You can get your credit pulled up to 4 times, I believe it's 4 times, within a 30-day time period for the purpose of a loan. And it doesn't hit your credit that much. It will be a pull on your credit, but it's not making a 20-point adjustment. So go ahead and get that pre-approval process, or at least start talking to a lender and run through those numbers so you know when that time comes that you were set up for success and you know what type of property you can afford and what down payment you're going to be looking at. And I say go ahead and dive into this because a lot of people are still going by the myth that you need a 20% down payment. You don't. And 20% versus a 3.5% down payment, or even a 3% down payment, or in some cases a 0% down payment, is a huge chunk of change that they might be stopping you from making that next move. Or you might have, well, I want to buy a home, but I'm not going to be able to do it for the next year because I don't have my 20% down payment yet, but I will. You might not have to. And sometimes it might not make sense for you to put 20% down on that property. So get connected with the lender. Talk to your lender, talk to your agent about what that looks like and how much money will you need down to close. So I know it might seem a little premature to do this that far out in advance, but I promise, go ahead and do it. Make sure that you're set up for success. And then say you know that you get pre-approved for $500,000 and you think that you want to spend $300,000, or you're on the other spectrum and you think you need to spend the full $500,000. Well, do you know what that monthly payment looks like at that $500,000 mark? And is that something you're comfortable with? Because keep in mind, something different when purchasing a home versus renting a home is when you're purchasing that home, you need to take into accountability, you are now responsible for the maintenance of that home. Roofing, HVAC, plumbing leaks, leaky toilet, outlets that go bad, washing machines that break, hot water heaters that leak, whatever that is, it is now your responsibility as the homeowner. In most cases, condos aside, some townhouse items aside, most cases though, you are responsible for these home ownership items. This is a big difference when you are going from renting to owning a home. And a lot of homeowners don't take that into perspective or don't account for those when they're running over their finances. So, are you thinking that you need to be at the higher end of your budget? And are you comfortable with that monthly payment? And are you taking into account all the extra costs that come with it? Don't let this scare you, because don't worry, you're building equity. Or are you at the lower end of your budget and you're now seeing what's available to you and you are seeing that maybe you need to up it a little bit because you're seeing the inventory that we have here available in Charlotte or in whatever area you're comfortable in, and you're not seeing what's going to work for you and your family, and you know you have the flexibility. So it's really, really good to know what you can afford and what you're going into. Again, if you're just like anything else, if you're going shopping for a new sweater and you know that you only want to spend $40 on that sweater, well, then you might want to avoid certain stores. You might change the stores that you go to or change the direction you head. So it's kind of similar to that. Know what you can afford, know what you're comfortable with, so you can set yourself up for success. And if you don't have contact or a connection with a local lender or a lender that you trust, reach out to an agent. Most agents will have connections with partners, with lenders. When I say connections with partners, there is no like, if I work with you, you give me something. There's none of that. There's no funds being exchanged. It's just we built these relationships with local lenders here and local vendors that we know will take care of our clients. So we have recommendations for you. We can tell you our experiences with them. We can also share with you our past clients' experiences. And it's really important to work with somebody who's local because they know the local market. When it gets really competitive, or if you're happening to look in a certain neighborhood, you know, it's going to be really good to have a well-known lender in that area that's known for a good reputation, that's known for being able to get a client from contract to close without any problems. So talk to your agent about it. My team and I have great connections here in Charlotte that if you're looking, or anywhere in North Carolina, if you're licensed in Charlotte, they're licensed in the state. So reach out, we can definitely get you connected and start that process. So that is step one. So we've covered get with an agent and contact a local lender. Those are your first two steps. Now, you've done those things, you've gotten your pre-approval, and now you're looking forward to home buying. You're gonna start that process. Well, there's a workbook linked below that will help walk you through this. It'll help keep you on track. If you'd like it, go ahead and snag it, download it, free PDF for you guys to have. But start looking for homes. Well, what does this look like? And it can be overwhelming. And I know here in Charlotte, we have a hyper local real estate market. So, you know, it can be overwhelming, needless to say. But what I always recommend doing is write down, whether you're working with just yourself or you're working with a partner or a family, write down your must-haves. Separate your must-haves to your wants and try to stay focused on like your 5 must-haves. Do you need a bathtub? Do you need an open concept kitchen? Do you need a big yard? Do you need a master on the main? Do you need a garage? Write down, look at what your life looks like. How do you function daily? Do you cook a lot? Do you need to have a separate workspace? Like all these things that will really impact your day-to-day life and how you live. And then have your wants. Well, I want white cabinets, or I want hardwood floors, or I want a really big closet. Like whatever those wants are, Maybe it's cosmetic. Maybe you can change them down the road, like if it's a paint color, or if you want carpet, or if you want hardwoods instead of carpet. Those can all be changed down the road and won't actually change how you function in your home, how you live your daily life. So separate your wants from your must-haves, your wants and your needs. Big difference there. And stay focused on your must-haves. Stay focused on your needs. Because if you start looking at 20 different homes, every 20 different home is going to be different, and it's going to get really overwhelming, and you're going to start to forget what you saw. And in the meantime, you're going to start to get a little tired. You're going to start to get a little disheartened and fatigued on this home buying. It is a real thing. Home buyer fatigue is a real thing, especially if you're looking in the past few years where it was like offers after offer after offer after offer, and you had to be first in line of a line of 40 people when you're looking at homes. So let's try to avoid home buyer fatigue. Let's get you set up for success. Let's get you working in the right direction. And then let's stay focused on what you really need. One of my top things is location. Location, location, location. I know you hear it. I know it's like a real estate trendy buzzword. It is true though. This truly does change how you will function in your life and where you go and what you see and what you do. So if you like walkability, if you don't have a car, or if you need to be close to the metro line here, make sure you do that. If you need to be in a certain school district, make sure you do that. If you need to be within a certain amount of time to your job, I know a lot of like first responders have to live in certain zip codes, or they have to be within a certain mileage from their job. Stay focused on that. Don't start looking outside of that, because there's gonna be options and it's going to get overwhelming. So find your must-haves, stay focused on them, and let's get you in some doors. So you're seeing properties, you're ready to make an offer. We're not gonna talk about the details on the offer too much, because this looks different on every house. I know it sounds odd. Yes, you'll be using the same like offer to purchase form, so there are different terms that you will need to consider, but we're not gonna talk about what each offer will look like on different properties, because this really is what works best for you and the seller. That is an agreement between you and the seller. But what we're gonna go over are the terms that you're gonna see on a contract. And why this is important is because it is a little bit different here in North Carolina than it is in most states. So when you are ready to write that offer to purchase, the two things that I really want to highlight, so you're gonna have the purchase price, and then you're gonna have what is called a due diligence. So here in North Carolina and South Carolina as well, they actually did recently just change this. North and South Carolina now both operate in a due diligence timeframe. So you have two deposits that you are going to make. I know this is weird. Most states only have one. Most states it's called an escrow deposit. Here in North Carolina, we have two deposits. One is going to be a due diligence deposit. We're going to talk about what that due diligence deposit is for just a few minutes. So this is a negotiated amount between you and the seller. There is no standard amount in a balanced market, and this is the key word, balanced, okay? Rule of thumb is both deposits should be about 1%. This is a rule of thumb. This is not standard, this is not set anywhere, and it is per property. I wanna highlight those things because this it goes up and down a lot. So you found a house and you wanna make an offer, you're offering a purchase price of what you're comfortable with, and then you're going to offer them a due diligence amount. This can be anywhere from $500 all the way up to, in COVID, we were seeing them as high as like $120,000. Now I know, don't let that scare you. Those are some outliers, but let's say you're looking at a property of about $400,000. It's new to the market, it's a great property. Right now, you're the only offer being made on it. You can go in at that due diligence at $1,500, maybe even $2,000. What does this do for you? Well, you are paying the seller, that check goes directly to the seller, and you are paying that seller for them to take their home off the market and have the option to inspect it. And you can get any inspectors you want in there, we're gonna cover that in a second. But you're paying them to inspect the property and to gather information so you can make the best decision for you when you're purchasing that home. Now this is a negotiated term, the negotiated amount, as well as time frame. Pretty standard, we're gonna say standard is what we see here, but a good average time frame that you can expect a due diligence or an inspection period is about 21 days. If you're working on a 30-day contract, which is a pretty standard, I don't wanna say this is standard because it's not, there's no like standard. This is, again, are all negotiated terms on what you and the seller are comfortable with, but we oftentimes will see a 30-day contract, and a 21-day inspection period or a 21-day due diligence period. So you're gonna offer them, say, about $1,500 to inspect your property. They're taking it off the market. You're buying your time to bring in your home inspector, to get your appraisal done, to gather any information that you want to know about the property. Now, this is a non-refundable deposit. What this does for you is it gives you, the buyer, the opportunity to change your mind on that property for any reason. I know it sounds crazy. You can literally drive past it one day at 6 p.m. and see that, oh my God, they have a red front door and I didn't notice that when we saw the house the first time. I hate red, I don't, whatever it is. You can change your mind. No harm done. You just lose your due diligence deposit. So when you purchase this property, you need to be confident that you like it. You need to be confident that this is the home that you want, because you are going to lose money right off of the bat. So with that said, while it gives you the opportunity to change your mind on this property, if you choose to move forward with the purchase of the property, this amount is taken off of your cash to close at the table. Okay, so you don't lose it unless if you change your mind on it. Your second deposit is what we here know as an earnest deposit. This goes to the attorney and sets in an escrow account. And it is used as kind of a good faith account, a good faith deposit, as we're going to do everything that we can and we fully anticipate on purchasing this property. It sits there. Now, if you want to change your mind within your due diligence period, you have until 5 p.m. Time is of the essence here, so 5 p.m. on the day that you set your due diligence ends. If you change your mind after your due diligence period, that is when your earnest money then goes to the seller. So you got your due diligence deposit and you've got your earnest deposit. These two checks are written right up front after contract is accepted. So now you're in your due diligence period, you're under contract. What do we do? Well, your agent is going to work between your lender, your attorney, and yourself to make sure they have all the documents that they need. They're gonna ask 100 things for you. This is going to get overwhelming. The first week of going under contract on a home can be overwhelming. You're getting emails after emails after emails after emails after emails after emails. I know, it's a lot. Refer to your agent. They can walk you through it step by step and tell you what you need to focus on and what is just good practice. So your agent has all these contacts for you. Your agent has the attorneys for you. Your agent has the inspections for you. So don't worry about having to find all of them. You're welcome to use whoever you want. That is part of the benefit of working with an agent, is we already have these people. We've already done the work for you and built these connections for you. So rest assured, you're gonna be in good hands if you choose an agent that you like and that you trust to work with. So you're working with your agent, you're working with your attorney, you're working with your lender, you're submitting paperwork. What I wanna say here is your lender will ask you multiple times for the same document. They're not doing it to be a pain in the butt. They've got their reasons. These people they're offering you $400,000 to purchase a home. Be okay with them asking for multiple documents at a time. It's going to be frustrating. You might not understand why, but just try to work with them, and the sooner that you get their information to them, the quicker this will go and the less pain this will cause during the transaction. So you're working with all of us. We're navigating through it. The next biggest thing that's gonna happen is your home inspection. That's right, get your home inspection done as early as possible. So North Carolina is an as-is state. Buyer beware, okay? And I don't say buyer beware to scare you. It is what we see it. It is a buyer beware state. It is an as-is state. So when you see on the contract, it will say property is sold as is. What does this mean? Well, this means that the seller does not have to make repairs. There are a few caveats to this. If you're in like a VA loan or if you're accepting an FHA loan, during the appraisal period, there might be some things that could kick back to you that say, these need to be done before they can approve the purchase of the property. That is a separate topic that we can touch base on a little bit more, but for the sake of this conversation right now, we're just gonna say, sellers do not have to make any repairs. I know in a lot of other states, they have to pass or fail an inspection. That is a really common thing, that when we are getting buyers from out of state, they oftentimes will just have to pass inspection. Does it fail inspection? We don't have that here. You get your home inspected by a third party. We have home inspectors here. They're licensed home inspectors. You can use a contractor. You can use you can bring all these different people in for all these things. I'll say it will likely end up costing you more money, and it will take a lot more time to coordinate all of this. But you have the right to do that if you'd like, as long as they're licensed and insured. But let's work with a home inspector. An average cost of a home inspection, you're going to be looking at about $400 to $700, give or take. It depends on how big the property is. Are they driving really far? Are you getting a pest inspection, which is likely required for your loan? Are you getting a radon inspection? Are you getting a air quality test, a mold test, all these things go into accountability or account of the cost. But just if you're looking at a home inspection, let's just average it out about $400 to $500. Again, depending on the size of your home, location, if it does have a crawl space, all these things. The inspector is gonna come in. It's gonna take about 3 to 4 hours to inspect this property. You don't need to be there the whole time. Actually, it's preferred that you're not. You have the right to be, but really you're just gonna kind of be sitting there where the inspector is running across the house back and forth. But I always recommend that you go to the summary of the home inspection. You meet with your home inspector. They're gonna run through this and they're gonna tell you all the things that they found as a concern or that they would like to see addressed. Now, you're going to receive this home inspection report, and this report is going to be 70 pages long. If it is a brand new house, you are going to think that your house is falling down. This is their job, okay? The home inspector's job is to find that outlet that's loose, is to find that toilet that is loose, is to say that there is no anti-tip bracket on the back of the stove, those like IKEA things that come, right? This is their job. They're giving you a full rundown. They're gonna tell you where your main water shutoff is. They're gonna tell you if there's a drip somewhere. They're gonna tell you if a shower head makes a lot of noise. They're gonna tell you everything about this property. But you wanna stay focused on the main things that are large concerns for you. And this could look different based on everybody. So work with your agent, run through that home inspection report, find the details out that are of high concerns for you, talk to them about it. What does this look like? Get a home inspector that you can call and ask questions to if you'd like. But from that point on, your agent is going to contact the contractors or the HVAC tech or a radon mitigation specialist or whatever's needed, a floor specialist, a roofing company, whatever that is. They're going to contact those people and they're going to say, hey, we need estimates or we need to know a little bit more about all of these things. So, work with your agent. Again, that is why you have that inspection period, because all this does take some time. It does take a lot to coordinate this. Your agent can meet any of these people at the properties if you're a little tight for time or if you're not here locally in the area to be able to do this. That's why your agent is here wearing the boots on the ground for you. So you're gonna go through this. You're gonna gather all the information that you need, right? So that's one aspect of the due diligence period. The second aspect of your due diligence period is going to be an appraisal. If you're a cash buyer, you do not need to get an appraisal. You can if you'd like, but you do not need to. But an appraisal is a third-party valuation on a home. Your lender has a third-party company that they work with, so it remains a non-biased opinion. They come out to the property, they assess it, and they provide a valuation based on recent sales of the surrounding areas. Why is this important? This is important because the lenders are only going to lend you the amount that is based on that home appraisal. So it's really important that before you make an offer on a property, you sit down with your agent and you review numbers and you say, well, why is a home based at valued at this price? Do you feel that it will appraise? Do you feel that it is worth this? And your agent is going to go and sit down and tell you, based on recent sales of the market, what he or she feels comfortable it will appraise at, okay? So have your agent sit down with them, be confident in that. Your lender is going to order the appraisal for you. You're not gonna talk to the appraisal. They need to stay unbiased. They don't wanna know why you love this property. They don't wanna know why you had to have this property. They need to be an unbiased opinion. So they're gonna go out, they're gonna provide their inspection or their evaluation. They're gonna submit a report to your lender. If all goes well, great. The property appraises for the amount that you wrote the contract for. The lender's happy, you're happy, no negotiations needed on that aspect. Now, you're still on the appraisal or the inspection part. While houses are sold as is and sellers do not need or have to make repairs, they're telling you that they have this home that they need to sell. You're telling them, you're a buyer, that you want to sell. More than not, 9 times out of 10, sellers will make some sort of negotiations on repairs, whether they're saying, we agree to hire a third-party company to fix these items, or we agree to give you a credit so you can hire who you would like to and fix these problems. It's a lot of back and forth. Make sure you work with your agent to do it. So while houses are sold as is, don't let that scare you. Most of the time, sellers don't know, like it's not like they've had a home inspection in the past year. They might have if they've bought and sold, but most of the time we're not, as homeowners, we're not crawling under our house, we're not crawling up on our attic. So we don't know what's wrong unless if there's a water pouring through our ceiling or something. So don't come into it scared, don't come into it frightened or angry, like, oh my God, I just got this 70-page inspection report, my house is gonna fall down. Don't look at it that way. Most of the time, sellers don't know what's wrong with it, and they just didn't know. So make sure you get your information, make sure you can approach them with factual information, and there is negotiation back and forth. So don't let this scare you. Your options here are you have the sellers repair it. One of the downfalls of this is you do not get to pick or control who they use. So if you are someone who's really particular about the companies you want to use or the work that's being done, I advise that you work towards getting a credit at closing so you can take those funds and get who you would like and be able to monitor and make sure it's to your liking. So there's kind of good and bad of that. You know, bad is like, well, you have to move into it. It's just one more thing that you have to take care of. But make sure you work with your agent to get those numbers. You know, there's a lot of black and white and gray areas in there. So make sure you talk to your agent about all of your options there. But so you're in your due diligence period, you're getting repairs, you're negotiating them, you're getting estimates, all these things, right? All of these negotiations need to be done before your due diligence period ends. And when is that? That's 5 o'clock on the day you and the seller have agreed upon. So you make those repairs, great, due diligence is done, now what? Well, now your agent is going to continue to work with your attorney and your lender to work through the underwriting process, we call it. This is the final stages of getting your loan approved. Right? We're gonna get it pre-approved, or we're gonna get the loan approved. We're gonna move it to the attorney's office. Now, here in North Carolina, another difference that it surprises a lot of people is we are an attorney state. We are not a title state. So what does that mean? Well, that means that we do our closings at an attorney's office. Our attorneys handle everything. We do not work with the title company as agents or as a buyer. So as a buyer, you will not get a contact from a title company. You can go get your own title insurance if you would like, but in general, we work with attorneys here. This is something that is also different per state. Okay, so we're through negotiations. We've done all the hard work. Now what? Well, now we're gonna talk about what to expect right before closing and at closing. Right before closing, you're gonna do what's called a final walkthrough. You and your agent are going to meet at the property. You're going to walk, this is done typically the day before closing or even the morning of closing. This is to make sure that if there were repairs that were made, all those repairs were made. You can do this earlier on if you would like. If there's larger repairs that you need to have re-inspected, you can do that. But in general, if there are repairs that need to be made, you're making sure those repairs are done. You're making sure that when the sellers moved out, they didn't accidentally punch a hole in the wall and they didn't see it. You're making sure there's no holes that were covered up under carpets in the floor. So you're making sure the property is being transferred to you in the condition you previously saw it in or better than. So that is what a final walkthrough is to do. Then you're gonna go to closing. So you're gonna meet at the attorney's office and you're gonna bring an ID. They'll oftentimes ask you to bring a voided check for your account numbers and plan, if you're a buyer, plan to spend about 30 to 45 minutes at this closing office and be ready to sign some papers. Stretch your hands, do some workouts because you're gonna be signing a lot of things. So you're gonna be signing a bunch of papers. You're already going to have seen multiple copies of what we call a closing disclosure here. So you're going to be familiar with all these numbers. Your agent's gonna review it with you. Your lender's going to review it with you. You're gonna have the answers that you have prior to walking into this attorney's office. You're gonna see multiple copies of it. And then you're gonna go over it again one more time in the attorney's office before you sign. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room. The cash that you have to bring to the closing table. I know this is probably what scares people the most and what we need a lot of clarity on. So, cash to close. This is a term you will hear. Cash to close is all of the cash, including your down payment and your closing cost. So your down payment can be anywhere from 0 to 0%, 3%, 5%, 10%, all the way up to 20% or more. This is depending on you and what you and your lender have figured out works best for your scenario. Let's say you've got a 3% down payment. You're gonna bring that, or you're already going to have wired all of these funds. So you're gonna have your 3% down payment, and then you've got your cash to close, your closing costs. Let's talk about what this is. Your closing costs are essentially a combination of your prepaids and your fees that it took to perform this transaction. This includes your origination fee that your lender will charge. This will vary depending on lender, depending on state. So you're gonna have your origination fee, you're gonna have your lender fee. Lender fees are typically around $1,000, give or take. You're going to see an attorney fee. Your attorney fee is going to be average $1,000. This depends, it can vary depending on the attorney that you choose to use. Your lender fee includes obviously the fee to use that attorney, but it also includes your title work. So lender goes ahead and they order your title search. A title search is essentially to make sure that through the years after the properties have been transferred, that it's transferred seamlessly. There is no questions in ownership. There were no liens that were put against the property. There are no liens against the title of your home. That it is transferring to you clear. So you take ownership of this property, no one can come knocking on your door saying, John owed me $2,000 and I have a lien on your house, because believe it or not, anybody can put a lien on your house. I know. So during the title search, it is to make sure that over the years, the property has been transferred in accordingly. So there is no ownership questions and you can follow that paper trail. The attorney is going to go ahead and do that for you. Okay. You're going to have your lender's title insurance. If you're not using a loan, you don't have to worry about this. You can get your own private title insurance if you would like, but your lender is going to have this title insurance as well. You're going to have your recording fee, all things to record the deed here. This is all done electronically. You're going to have electronic fees done. So you've got a variety of your closing costs. So you've got your lender fees, your attorney fees, your title insurance, your recording fees, and your deed prep. Okay, so these are your closing costs. These are the fees that it took to get the transfer of this property from A to B. Then you're going to have a bunch of prepaids. You're gonna have your insurance prepaid, you're gonna have your taxes prepaid, and any HOA fees. So typically there's about 3 to 4 months of prepaids. This is gonna take up the majority of your closing costs. And why do they have this done? Well, they have this because again, you might only be putting 3% down on the property. So technically speaking, your lender still owns 97% of the property. So if for whatever reason you lose your job, you might not be able to make your payment or something, but the county or the state doesn't care that you lost your job and you can't make your payment. They're still collecting their taxes. Your homeowner's insurance, it needs to be covered. So because the lender still owns your property, even if something happens, for God forbid you lose your job or something and you need a month or something to take a break or you can't make your payment, you still have enough in your prepaids to make sure that your taxes, your interest, and your insurance is still being paid. Okay, so because if something catastrophic happens, your property still needs to be covered. So you're gonna have to prepay about 3 to 4 months of those. That is going to take up the majority of your closing costs. So you've got a handful of fees. You've got your attorney fees, your lender fees, your deed prep, your title search. You've got your prepaids, your title, your taxes, your insurance, and then your HOA fees. Your HOA fees will be per property. Sometimes there will be a transfer tax. Sometimes there will not be. If you are purchasing a new construction property, you will see, the name just literally escapes my head, but you could see a one-time fee. Oh, goodness. There's a one-time fee that if you have a new construction property, you will see it be transferred if it's a new construction property. So if there's any special assessments, you might see this as well. So there could be an HOA transfer fee. This is going to vary per property, and a lot of it will be prorated. If you do have HOA dues, they'll prorate it to that month. So any prorations you'll also see. So there's the list of your closing costs. Again, they're listed in the worksheet below if you need to work it out. This will vary per property, so I cannot give you like a solid amount. A good rule of thumb, again, this is kind of just like if you need a rough idea in your head, count on about 2% of the purchase price of your property. So good rule of thumb, if you're going into it and you're like, well, do I even have the money? If you're early on in the stages and you need to know, just consider about a 2% price of the purchase price for your closing cost fees. So you meet at the attorney's office, you've got your closing costs, you've got your down payment. This has already been wired and your lender sees it, everything's good to go. You sign the papers. Here in North Carolina, we have to wait for the deed to be recorded. So it takes about 2 to 3 hours, depending on how backed up they are down at the county. But once the deed is recorded, that's it. The keys are yours and you are now officially a homeowner. So it is a lot. It is a lot to kind of go through. There's a lot of prep work that needs to be done and a lot of information being kind of dismissed back and forth. But Overall, you can expect about a 30-day transaction, a 21-day closing, or 21-day inspection period. This can be negotiated. If you need 2 months, talk to your agent. We can negotiate that for you. Right now, we're seeing a lot of creative financing happening. So if you're letting lending be the one thing that stops you, or you're letting interest rates be the thing that stops you, talk to your agent. Right now, let's touch base really quickly on the market here in specifically the Charlotte area. This does cover like the South Carolina area as well. Right now, we're hearing a lot of people say, I'm gonna wait until the interest rates drop. Well, here's why that might not be a good idea, okay? Right now, the interest rates are high. They are at an all-time high. We've seen them kind of ebb and flow. They ebb and flow daily, so I'm not gonna comment exactly right now what they are, because by the time this is posted, it might be something totally different. But interest rates ebb and flow every single day. With that said, what you get quoted at your estimate when you go for your pre-approval might be a little bit different than what you close with, so just ask your lender about that. If the interest rate's lower, it's just basic supply and demand here in Charlotte right now. Right now in the Charlotte market, we are still experiencing an influx of people moving to our area. So our housing prices are still increasing. No, they're not increasing 20% like they did in COVID years, but year over year, we're still seeing an increase here. Charlotte is not one of those areas where we're seeing our prices fall. You might see, like, we're hearing a lot of people say right now, oh, my neighbor just dropped their prices are decreasing. That's not what that is. That is just buyers and sellers having to make adjustments to the expectations in the market, okay? But if we get that property valuation done, that property valuation is guaranteed to be increased from if we got that same evaluation last year. What that is during COVID, during the past 2 years, when we had 20% inflation or appreciation, 20% appreciation, is, John down the street listed his house at $500,000 and had 20 offers, and it was sold in less than four hours. Well, Betty that's down the street now saw that, and she's got her house to list, and because of the demand that was there, she's gonna now list it at $520, and the same thing's gonna happen because there were no options, because money was really cheap, so people were just coming after it. That's not the case right now. We're seeing more people that aren't moving until they have to. Reasons such as a job transfer, growing family, a death in the family, divorce, marriage. People are waiting until they move for a life reason. So it's no longer, I can sell my house and get a lot of money for it, and I can buy a house for cheaper than I bought this one for in terms of money. So the reasons why people are buying and selling are a little bit different, but that has not changed the valuation of that home. You can no longer just throw a price on it and you have 20 people that and see what sticks, right? Your crowd is gonna be a little bit smaller. If your interest rate goes up by 1%, okay? If you were previously quoted at a 4% interest rate and you're now quoted at a 5% interest rate, that changes your purchasing power by 11%. Think about that, guys, 11%. That's huge. That is huge. So your pool of people that was 400,000, well, their purchasing price just got decreased by 30,000. So they're now looking down at a smaller bracket. They're now looking at a $300,000 to $350,000 price point versus a $350,000 to $400,000. So it's just changing their buyer pool a little bit more. So don't worry, while we are seeing some adjustments being made, it's just adjusting to the expectations of buyers and sellers here in the market. Home values are still increasing here in the Charlotte area. So if you wait until the interest rates drop a little bit more, those prices are still going up. So get the house at its lowest point, which is right now. At least when this video is made, the lowest point is right now, because in 3 months, it's gonna be more expensive. 6 months, more expensive. Next year, more expensive. So if you have the means to do it, and if this is something that you've been thinking about for a little bit, buy the house at its lowest price, work with the interest rates for what they are right now. We can talk about some creative financing to help make your monthly payment a comfortable spot for you, or your cash to close a little bit different. Work with an agent, talk to your lender. There's different ways that we can do this. 2-1 buy downs, assumable rates. There's different things that we can work on. So just reach out to somebody and we can help you with that and see if it is a good fit for you at this time. But a lot of people right now are trying to time the market, whether it's, I don't know, until house prices fall or interest rates change. Guys, there's never a perfect timing. It's either a buyer's market or a seller's market in reality. So stop trying to time the market and just work with what you guys are dealing with right now and see if it's a good time for you, if this is something that you've been thinking about. Here in Charlotte, our house prices are still going up. They're still increasing and buyers are still buying. Our market here is super hyper local. And what I mean by that is We're seeing some houses that are sitting in the market for 2 months, and that's normal for that area. But we're seeing some neighborhoods, even neighborhoods like Plaza Midwood or Noda, where there's still being multiple offers. So our market here is hyper local. There is no blanket statement that I can say that would make sense for you to give you like a good idea. Good idea is interest rates are still high. Yes, we are expecting them to come down early to mid next year, but we've seen crazy things happen right now and they might not come down a full percent. I don't ever think we'll see below 5% again, at least not in my lifetime, but they might adjust a little bit, but work with your agent, work with your lender and see what works for you. I hope this video helps answer what this looks like. I know it might be a little bit more of a boring video. We don't have like the glitz and glamour of what it looks like to be around Charlotte. But if you're looking at buying a home here in the Charlotte area, my team and I would love to help you. Please reach out. We can help you both in North and South Carolina. So let us know if you have any questions and be sure to grab that workbook linked below.